My name is Sgt Pinocchio. If you join the Army, you're gonna love it, just like I do. Hooah! Hooah!
My first day in basic training, our drill sergeant sat our entire platoon down and said, I don't want to hear what your recruiter said because it was mostly bullshit. I don't want to hear you say, well, my recruiter said this, my recruiter said that, you're in the Army now, and you're going to do what we say, you're going to deploy if that's what needs to be done.
I'd done my 4 years, my time was up, I had served honorably. I wasn't happy about my time in the Marine Corps, but I definitely didn't have a horrible taste in my mouth yet. And then 2 days before I was supposed to get discharged, my first sergeant called me into his office and said, I'm sorry to tell you this, but as of this morning, the Secretary of the Navy signed a stop-loss order. You're not going home, you're going to Iraq with the rest of the unit. This was 2 days before I thought I was going home for good. I literally had a completed checkout folder. All I had to do was sit for 2 days and I was going home, no questions asked. And then suddenly I was told I wasn't going home, I was going to Iraq.
Darn! What's happening to my nose?
And I was really upset and confused and didn't know where to go. I thought I was the only person who ever felt that way, somebody who had fought in a war and came home opposed to it. But luckily, I was put in touch with Veterans for Peace.
And if you asked yourself today, before you signed any lines with any recruiters, do you believe that we should be killing people? And your answer is no, then you shouldn't be doing it for a college or for a job or for any type of anything, because the real purpose of it is to kill. And it doesn't matter whether you were a cook or a supply sergeant. You're part of the machinery, which is indicative of death. That's the only thing it's built for, is death.
Maybe you had a bad experience, but I got a whole squad full of men here that can testify that they love their recruiter. Hooah! I said hooah! Hey, I said hooah! Hooah!
I joined as supply. I was told that that's a non-combat job, so the likelihood of me seeing combat was very low, and I was told that I wouldn't be going to combat anyway because I had requested it when I went to the recruiter. Shortly after my arrival in my unit, I found out that I was deploying to Iraq. I told my first sergeant, my commander, that I was told on recruitment that I wouldn't be deploying. And they told me that I was lied to by the recruiters. It's fairly standard practice for that to happen. And I'm going to deploy with my unit. There's no way for me to get out of it.
I went to see the recruiter. I thought he was a joker. And in the military, we know that the recruiters are the biggest jokers in the military. They're the guys that usually avoid the deployments, and they spend several years at a time just as recruiters, not really doing anything, shining a desk.
Oh no! My nose!
Because of the military and because of the war, your tuition's going up. They're cutting tuition assistance. You know, they're cutting public transportation. Energy costs have gone through the roof because of the war. And mass transit isn't getting federal subsidies because that money's going to the war and the military instead of going to mass transit. All these things are happening to you. And then all of a sudden in the middle of it, this recruiter comes up and says, hey, if you join the military, we'll give you tuition assistance, we'll give you some cash in your pocket, we'll give you health care. I'd get mad about that. It's like somebody stealing your dinner and then offering to sell it back to you. But most of them are selected to be recruiters. So they're pulled out of their jobs, they have to do this, and they're told, you meet your quotas or you get a bad fit rep. In the Marine Corps, one bad fit rep as a staff NCO, you're not going to get promoted again, they're not going to allow you to re-enlist, and you're going to lose your job.
The United States military, based on all of the events from all the wars prior, now knows where it has to go to recruit. It knows who its target market is. They try to find the people who are on the bottom third economically and go talk to them about where they can get a job. But then they'll offer them and promise them college, like as an option. When the statistics are in that this money, 90% of the people who get money for Army College Fund or GI Bills don't use it.
I'm telling you, war makes you a better man. Hooah! Hooah!
Going into combat changes you fundamentally for the rest of your life. I know, talking from the Vietnam vets I've met, the World War II vets, all these other combat veterans, no matter what the war, no matter what the cause and the reason, you'll never put it behind you. You'll never forget it. These memories will stick with you for the rest of your life, for better or for worse. It's not like the movies. It's not like video games. This is what happens. People die. people like myself, a lot of your friends, when we go from being on base to going to a war zone, we become killers while we're there. That is what we need to do to survive.
You calling me a liar? Darn, there goes my nose again. Hooah!
The Army expects everyone, all the soldiers, to be able to turn it on and turn it off just like that. And you know what happens when you create this beast. The soldiers coming back from Iraq and Afghanistan, from 82nd Airborne Division, killing their wives. There was like five or six instances after the first rotation of troops started coming back and going back to Fort Bragg, where the soldiers were coming back, brutalizing their wives, killing themselves. I've had friends in the Army that have committed suicide. War changes you. It changes everybody. Whether you're the man on the front line, whether you're the man sitting in the desert in Kuwait looking out into nothing, it changes you. And it changed me. And I'm just, trying to get back to being the person that I was before I went in the Army.
I watched it happen to the guys out. They come home, all of a sudden they were in the clink. All of a sudden they were in some, psych ward. All of a sudden they were, incarcerated for rape or violent crime. We have 15,000, 20,000 Desert Storm veterans that are incarcerated for rape or violent crime.
I started having problems with nightmares and flashbacks, anxiety attacks, what's called startle reflex, which is basically you might get startled by a loud noise and you might jump and, your heart rate goes up for a few seconds, whereas it happens to me, I jump, I dive for cover, and I can't calm down for the next 10 minutes because I think it's a mortar about to crash down on my head.
Some of you may think this war is stamped with the image of Abu Ghraib, but that's not true. Hooah! Hooah!
My sergeant took us to the side and talked to about 4 Marines, our fire team, and told us that if we were to kill a civilian, that we would drop an AK-47 behind his body. He also told us how we can change our MREs, our meals ready to eat, for alcohol, cigarettes, and sometimes sex with the Iraqi children. And to me, that just tells me, this guy isn't as honorable as I thought he was. He was supposed to earn his rank of Sergeant of Marines, but apparently he hasn't. And this is the man who was going to lead me into battle.
I was injured in combat. I received a Purple Heart for my wounds from a roadside bomb. If you get hit by a roadside bomb, you have no idea who did it. There's plenty of people living around there. As you see what's happening, I've been in the same situations. I watched a few of my buddies get hit and die, and there was no one there to take my anger out on. There was no enemy. So we just shot anything we could see.
Oh, shoot! No, I don't mean shoot! I mean shoot! I mean ceasefire!
Originally, when I went in the military, I used to come home and people go, man, there's nothing different about you. And so I thought I was beating that stereotypical brainwashing that everybody tells you happens in the military. I thought, yeah, look at me, I'm beating it. And then when I became a drill sergeant, I realized I was it. I wasn't beating anything. I actually, while though my characteristics and my behavior were still the same, mentally and inside between my 2 ears, I had become a product of the machinery, and now I was entrusted with creating new product. And I was creating soldiers who were programmed to say, kill, kill, kill. What makes the green grass grow, drill sergeant? Blood, blood, blood. So I started watching this, and I started realizing that if you give somebody information repetitively over and over again, they'll start to believe it regardless. The military doesn't see the troops as humans. They're no longer humans. They don't have a human attachment to it. And I lost it. I started losing my attachment to humanity right there on the spot when I watched these young soldiers just getting pummeled by drill sergeants, just beaten repetitively.
I was so filled with Fox News and the media that we're getting, and it's just pure propaganda. And I was filled with all that, so the anti-Muslim sentiment was in me. I'm not going to lie about it. That's what we were fed in the U.S.
Yeah, well, joining the military gives you health benefits. Bet you're not getting that back on the block. Hooah!
When I was in training, I fall, and when I went to the hospital for it, they had me lay down and they felt my back and told me I had pulled muscles in my back. I had been going to the hospital regularly because I'd been having constant pain in my back, and they just kept giving me Tylenol 3, Percocet, oh, you're gonna be fine, it's gonna heal. 5 months after that, I got a case of pneumonia, and they did an x-ray on my chest to see how much fluid was in my lungs. And they realized that I had 2 fractured vertebrae in my spine. And they said, oh, you you know, we can put you in physical therapy and everything, but there's no time for that right now. You'll have to do it when you return from Iraq. So I was pretty shocked to hear that. I started thinking, you know, what's going to happen when I get over there and get my arm blown off? You know, are they just going to bandage it up and send me home and say, oh, well, I'm sorry? I had 9 teeth removed in the military. And the way that they remove teeth in the military, it's unlike the civilian world. My mother had a tooth removed, and they cut open the gum and they remove the tooth. The way they remove my teeth is they stick an instrument that looks similar to a screwdriver in the cavity area, and they apply pressure and twist it until the tooth shatters. And they remove the tooth with forceps. They removed 9 teeth in that manner. Broke my jaw twice doing it. When they pulled out the tooth, there was actually a piece of my jaw the size of a dime or a nickel attached to it. I don't have any back teeth really, so eating is a bit difficult for me.
I was cheated. I wanted to stand for something. I wanted to believe the dream.
The indoctrination is so subtle and it's so extended. That's why they don't let you just go in for 6 months. That's why they don't let you just go in for 1 month and try it out. When you go in for years.
If you have any doubt in your mind whether or not you want to kill people, then I mean, just start questioning yourself, question everything, question authority.
I've had it. How can a soldier be proud when he's fighting a bad war? They have us out there committing war crimes, and they don't even care any more about us than they do about those we're killing. I feel betrayed. Truth is, I'm brokenhearted. I see why those Vietnam guys all said FTA. I mean, f*** the Army. And f*** all those assholes who sent us over here. They're screwing America. And they really screwed me. I'll tell you one thing, and it's the honest truth. If you join, you're gonna regret it. You want to be tough enough not to go in. Serve the people, not the privileged.
You know, when you talk to high school students especially, tell them to go talk to your guidance counselors. If they do their job, they'll find you scholarships, they'll find you grants, they'll find you job training programs. All of them, I mean, there's millions of dollars of money every year that goes away wasted because nobody applies for the training or the money.
There was no day that I ever served in the Army that my involvement made any American any safer. Not one day.
There's a reason they all said FTA back in the day.